Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mythical Expanse. In our last episode, we built up a few new little farms here where we could automatically gather some carrots with our villagers here. And in today's episode, we're going to continue expanding the Mythlands with a few more custom trees and a brand new building. So if you do like the episode, make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, hello there. Yeah, I've been down here for a little bit. Started to take over a little bit, as you can see. Kind of got caught up in a net. Caught a salmon though. Got some seagrass growing up on my feet here, and yeah, I lost a little bit of my clothing. But hey, check it out. We've been hanging out with the turtles, and we have become one with them. Yeah, they taught me their ways, so now we can kind of breathe underwater a little bit better. All jokes aside, guys, check it out. We've done a little bit of more work down here at the beach, so you can see that I've kind of cleaned things up a little bit more, and I started to extend things out a little bit as well. You can see I started to bring in a little bit of that birch wood that I was talking about at the end of our last episode, and you can see we kind of extended a nice little path down into here from up here near the tree. Also got a little bit of a lantern kind of guiding our way down in here. Yeah, I think everything's coming along pretty well down here at the beach. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the overall look and feel of everything now. We also brought in a little bit of a rocket down here on the other side of the beach, and as well as another one of our trees here, kind of looking a little bit dead and sun bleached over there like we do have here. But like I said, I think I've spent too much time down here, and it's time to get back home, get some clothes on, you know. All right, and back home, we have made it, ladies and gentlemen, and I gotta say, it feels so nice to be back. That beach life was getting a little exhausting down there, not really catching anything other than a few cod and a few salmon and some tired leather boots, but we are back home here in the Mythlands with our farms, our nice little tree line here, and our little house here on top of the hill. But there's obviously much more that we need to do around here. We can't just leave this as is with a few custom trees and a few buildings and a couple of farms. This just isn't gonna cut it. So we need to do a lot more around here today, and that kind of starts with a trip down to the mines, because yeah, I know I said it in our last episode, but we only got ourselves a diamond helmet and some diamond boots. We didn't finish the set, and my diamond tools are, well, they're pretty much already busted. But we're not going to stop there today. No, we have a lot of big plans in store for ourselves around here, which are going to include this feature right here. I'm not going to dive into this today, but I have big plans for this water feature. Don't you worry. But what I do want to do today is extend out that road from our farms down into this area here and kind of connect it up to our mines over there where you can kind of see those path blocks. And then I want to spend a little bit of time after we get our diamonds and we're nice and situated and do a little bit of terraforming up here on this hill because, well, who am I kidding? You guys saw it in the thumbnail. We have a nice big build to put up here on top of this hill. So to start things out, we're going to grab ourselves a few materials, starting with a few pickaxe. As you can see, I got the one here in my inventory that's almost gone, but we do have an extra one here. And the additional thing we need to do is make up a ton of torches. If we're just going to go caving, we're going to need a lot of torches. So I'm thinking maybe like 6 stacks of torches here to get ourselves started. We do have a few extra here, but that's obviously not going to cut it, because we need a lot of diamonds. We only have 8 diamonds in here. We want to get a full suit here and probably some new tools as well. So I've gathered up all the materials I think we're gonna need to accomplish this goal of getting ourselves all the diamonds that we're gonna need. I got a bunch of torches. I actually used up all of the remaining coal that I have, grabbed up a few extra pickaxes and a brand new sword for ourselves. Made sure I grabbed my shield and some extra carrots, and we are off. So let's see what we can do. So I spent a little bit of time running down into the caves until I could find an area where I hadn't previously been, eventually finding a larger cave entrance area where we were able to gather up a ton of raw materials such as our copper, some lapis, and iron. Also, I was fending off some mobs along the way such as skeletons and zombies. And then I did the fabled old trick of running around and putting torches everywhere I could as quickly as I could as well before eventually finding some diamonds. All right, so we have returned home, and I gotta say, I'm feeling pretty rich here with 35 diamonds in our inventory, plus the 8 that we have stored away. But look at all the other riches we got. We got nearly 3 stacks of raw copper here, which we're gonna need later on, so that's really handy there. We also got a bunch more of our iron, which is super helpful, and we only used up a couple stacks of torches, so we'll be able to go back into the mines later on to gather some more iron or whatever else we need. We also got some other items, such as the glow ink squid, and then we also got a little bit of glow dust for beating up a witch, so that's pretty cool. With all of our materials now put away, it was time to put these diamonds to use, making a new pair of pants, a new chest plate, a new sword, a new axe, a new pickaxe, and of course, a new shovel. And with all of our diamonds spent to upgrade our armor here and grab a new tool set, including a sword, we still have 19 diamonds left over, which is super nice because we don't have any enchantments on these, so they're probably going to go pretty quick. We do currently have these ones, so since we have a little bit of extra iron, I think I'm going to make up an anvil so that we can combine our tools if needed, because we have a pretty large build ahead of us today, so this will come in handy. So now that we are feeling accomplished, we have all of our tools and everything that we need, our fresh new armor on us, it's time to get to terraforming. So what I'd like to do to actually start this off is kind of level out this hill a little bit more, as we kind of have this pathway coming through these two hills. I actually want to flatten this off so we can kind of look off to our left a little bit more easily, so that it's not kind of blocking our line of sight down through here. I think that'd be nice if we can kind of level this off and give ourselves a little bit of an eye line sight. And then I also want to jump up to this hill and start terraforming all of this so that we have a nice space for our build today. Then it came time to start terraforming with a few iron shovels as well as our 1 diamond shovel, which you can imagine took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but that's something I'm trying to focus on in this series, is just taking my time and just enjoying the process. Well, there's 1 shovel pretty much gone, and we haven't even completed the first job here. So we have a couple of options here. We can combine these 2 shovels to get a little bit more life. We can make up a 3rd shovel, which I don't mind doing because we're probably going to need it later on in this series anyways. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now as well. But one more thing, what I'm thinking of doing is, since we have a few extra diamonds, is see if I can't build up an enchantment table. We have 43 levels currently, so it might be worth it. I don't know if I have the books or the paper in order to do it, but I'm gonna see if I can't figure something out here. Okay, so we have the obsidian here, we have the diamonds, and we have the 1 book for the enchantment table. I have a few books stashed over here that we got from raiding villages early on, so we'll gather up all of these books for now. But I think we're gonna need, obviously, I think another 40 or so books in order to, maybe 50 books here, to make up all of this, and I really don't think I have... Yeah, I have 6 sugarcane, so it's going to be a little bit of a grind running around and gathering some more so that we can make up all of the necessary books here. And we also only have 4 leather. That can't be right. I have more leather somewhere, right? Oh, no. Looks like we're going to have to do a little bit of cow killing. Well, a few of those cows sounded a little funny, but we did get some leather from them, so that's okay. And we have also gathered up a bunch of sugarcane. I'm hoping this is enough, but we'll see. All right, and I've actually gone ahead and set up our enchantment table here on the upstairs of our house, and we do have ourselves our level 30 enchantment. So let's check out, see what we can't get. We got an efficiency 4 there on the shovel. See if we can get fortune 3 now, but we got efficiency 4 there too. Maybe we spin the dial on it. We do have 44 levels, so we should be fine to enchant a few pieces of armor, a few pieces of our equipment as well. Let's see what we get here. Let's see if we get feather falling. No, we got a little bit of fire protection there, a little bit of fire protection there as well. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna grab some of my lapis and see what we can't get. Well, with a little bit of re-rolling, we did get Fortune 3 on our pickaxe. No unbreaking on there, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful. We did get a little bit of protection on our helmet, as well as a little bit of unbreaking on a shovel. Not too great, but that'll help us out a little bit, I guess. And we can always grab our carrots and do a little bit of trading if we want to re-roll. So with a brand new Unbreaking 3 diamond shovel as well as our diamond pickaxe, we get back to work here on this hilltop, kind of removing all of the stone and bringing in the landscape a little bit closer to the road and just kind of adding some curvature. So there we go. We have flattened everything out up here and it's looking a lot better. I think we can still spruce this up a little bit more, kind of bring these hills in a little bit further so that we can kind of have a more gradual slope down into this area. But I think this works a lot better for now. Like as you come up over that hill, being able to kind of look off into the distance is really nice. But like I was saying, like if we could bring this line in a little bit tighter, I think that'll be a lot better. But for today, I think this is pretty good. This took a little bit longer than I was expecting. So now I want to jump on over to this hill and also into this pathway where I said we're going to continue the coarse dirt road. What I want to do right now for the start of this, before we get into terraforming this whole hill, is actually kind of come in here and fill in some of these holes like so. And kind of just smooth everything out so that we can really see what we're working with for the terrain before we start building. Alright, so now with the first bit of the road complete here, I'm ready to turn my focus on top of the hill up here so that we can flatten things off for a nice space to build our future building there. So I think I'm going to go up there, flatten things off, and then kind of bring the road down in here while I still have a little bit of coarse dirt. This terraforming project being a little bit more difficult than the last. As you can see, this terrain isn't as forgiving, so we're digging into the mountain a little bit and getting rid of all of this stone, as well as trying to kind of smooth things out so that we can bring a nice cohesive path up to the building. All right, a lot of work gone in here now, but we have a staircase leading all the way up from the bottom of the hill to the top here, and we still have a lot of work to do up here. I want to take this entire layer down, but I think this is a good spot to kind of pause for a moment and gather some carrots and do a bit more trading with our villagers so that we can do a bit more enchanting. Then finishing up down here at the skeleton farm to gather a few more levels. Now back home with a few levels, let's grab some lapis. We'll put some blast protection on our pants. A little depth strider 3 on our boots, and some protection 3 on our chest plate. So now with a fully enchanted set of armor and our new road put in here, leading up to where we are going to build our library. That's right, we're going to be building a massive 3-story library here. We're going to be grabbing some villagers from a nearby village, transporting them over to here to be our librarians, and we're going to do a full interior into this massive building here. So it's going to require a bunch of oak. We got some other materials that we're going to have to journey off to get, but that's okay. We'll do that in a nice little montage here of grinding out some materials. So let's get to it. Taking the time to enchant one more diamond axe here before we get started, and then heading down in front of our house here, which has become kind of my designated tree area. It's a little bit messy at the moment. We'll have to come back here and spruce this up at some point. All right, so now that we have all of our wood types here, we are missing one material in this chest, and it's actually going to fill up this chest as well because we're going to need a bunch of our mangrove wood as well as a bunch of mud that we can turn into packed mud and make all the variants of mud brick stairs and slabs for this build. So we are about to venture out about 6,000 blocks to the east to find this material. Now that we're back home with all of our mud, we were able to scavenge a few hay bales from nearby villagers, so we can turn this all into wheat and actually make this into packed mud. So I think that's gonna be enough mud bricks for us that we can make down into mud brick stairs as well as slabs. If not, then we'll have to figure that out, but that's okay. That's a good start if not. And then we also got a little bit of mangrove wood in here. That might not be enough either, but we did bring some poppies back with us so that we can make some more trees to cut down. So now that we have all of our materials, it's time to jump into a time lapse and build up this library. All right, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. We have our bookstore here in place now on top of this hill, and I gotta say, I am really happy and excited with how this came out. So you can see we created a ton of depth throughout this entire build using stairs for like these lines. We have trapdoors and our gates as well. We also have this nice large doorway here that we can actually start to make our way into and into the kind of shop area of this bookstore, if you will. So you can see we kind of laid things out where we're going to be putting some bookshelves, which we actually have some of our chiseled bookshelves right now. And we do have a mod right now that is allowing for these 3D textures because it looks so much better. But yeah, we got to frame these out and finish those off. We also have like our little book kind of checkout area here, a little shop counter, if you will. We also threw up a lodestone just because I think it looks really good up there. But we also have to decorate this corner, decorate around here a ton more. And if we make our way on upstairs, you can see that, yeah, it's unfinished up here, and we haven't even built the staircase to the 3rd floor. But I think this is a pretty good start for today. So kind of what I would like to do is bring in some beds up here, kind of frame things off so there's a little bit of a room up there for some of our villagers, finish off with these bookshelves, and do a little bit more decorating. But lastly, we need to get some villagers over here because we have ourselves some lecterns to place and get some villagers so we can trade with. Okay, so we have a couple of villagers up here in the 2nd floor that we can start rolling their trades to see that we can get some mending, and we'll lock that in once we get there. But in the meantime, I want to revisit the pathway here up to the bookstore and just kind of bring it to life a little bit more. Currently, we have all these torches in the middle of the pathway, and we really have no greenery or color kind of spread around. So I kind of just wanted to spend a little bit more time here bringing this to life. Starting with a few railings along the pathway so that we could get rid of these torches and replace them with some nice lanterns, and then bringing in some rocks and some bushes just to kind of tie the environment together before starting on some custom birch trees here, and then just using the same pattern here as a duplicate and rotating it a little bit so that it looks slightly different but ultimately the same tree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and there you have it, kind of the finished product for today's episode. We have our nice little path leading up here now with some nice lanterns tucked off to the side, as well as a few new birch trees here kind of leading up to the front door of the bookstore where we can go inside, and we do have a little bit more decoration on in here, but everything is looking pretty good. We definitely need to finish things off, and if we head on upstairs, we have our villagers kind of trapped up here right now. We're gonna have to do a little bit more work up here to make sure that they're nice and secure, but this is coming along really well for today's episode, and I gotta say, I'm really happy with how this whole thing came together. I was a little worried because, yeah, this is a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but I gotta say, I think it came out pretty well. So I think that's gonna do it for me in this episode. I want to say thank you very much if you did stick around this far to see the finished product. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.